Happy Monday. This is the first week of the CrossFit Open, which is what we've been training for all year round, but specifically the last 7 weeks leading up to this. This is week 8 of our cycle. And our first day, we're gonna do quite a bit of gymnastics work, and I'm gonna try and go into detail, but not too much detail, okay? Starting out, we've got a wall-facing handstand hold. So you can either wall walk yourself up to the wall or just cartwheel up, whatever you're comfortable with. But I'm gonna challenge you to do this in a wall-facing position. This puts you in a much better hollow body handstand position as opposed to turning around and doing a back-to-wall handstand, which allows you to get into more of this archy position. So do your best to hold in a wall-facing position. Our next movement is gonna be a handstand push-up negative. We are gonna do these back to wall, so make sure that you're really focusing on maintaining a straight body as opposed to that arch we just talked about. But using an ab mat for these is really great for spacing. So the ab mat goes all the way up against the wall. For a handstand push-up, our hands are gonna be a little bit wider than they would be for a handstand hold. Think the difference between a deadlift and a squat, right? We're just doing arm squats. Our hands are gonna go just in front of the ab mat, just outside our shoulders. When we kick up to handstand, heels are the only thing that touches the wall. Keep that booty off the wall. And you're gonna lower yourself down until your head touches the center of the ab mat, like right where that rogue sticker is. As you do that, I want you to think about lowering a barbell down. You're gonna tuck your elbows in and you're gonna create a tripod or a triangle between your head and your hands. We wouldn't lower a barbell down this way, we'd hit ourselves in the head, right? So elbows come in, maintain that nice hollow position the whole way down, all right? Elbows in, lower yourself down to your head. If you're in the right position, you should be able to balance in this headstand before you step down, and then you would kick up again for your next rep. Cool? So that's part of the warm-up. Then we're gonna get into some strict handstand push-up volume, and our first movement is gonna be that strict handstand push-up. So our first option is to do this against the wall. Ideally, the RX version is to do it on flat surface, so feel free to use one of the gymnastics mats or one of the rollout mats. You can scale with an ab mat as needed, or we can go to the next option, which is gonna be on the bench. But for the strict handstand push-up, it's the exact same thing we did for the negative. Now we're just gonna kiss the mat with our head and press straight back up. At the top, I want you to focus on hiding your ears with your shoulders. Elbows come in, kiss the mat, and then press back to that same position. So there's always this forward and back, just like you were pressing a barbell over your head. After our strict handstand push-ups against the wall, we're gonna see if we can do some on the bench. And now we have two options for this bench handstand push-up. The harder version is gonna be doing it on your toes, okay? So hands go on the ground, toes on the bench. We're hiding our ears with our shoulders at the top, and then it's the exact same thing. Head comes forward, elbows in, kiss the ground with your head, and press back up from there. If that's a little too challenging, you can drop to your knees, but make sure you walk your hands in closer to the bench, so the hips are closer to over the shoulders, and then it's the same thing. Head comes forward, kiss the ground, and then back to the bench at the top. Once you get tired of those, we're moving on to another version of handstand push-ups, the down dog or piked handstand push-up. And same rules apply. Hide the ears, head comes forward, elbows are in, kiss the ground, press straight back up. You can always scale that by putting a band over the pull-up bar like you would for pull-ups and putting it around your waist, okay? Really focusing on that forward and back with every movement. And then our last movement in this strength portion is gonna be a plank hold. So with the remaining time, you're gonna hold yourself up in a nice plank, spread the shoulder blades, keep the hips up nice and high. We don't wanna see any saggy planks down here, okay? So keep it up nice and high. All right. Now that your shoulders are super warm, we're gonna go into a workout that has ring muscle-ups, double unders, and dumbbell snatches, okay? So I would love to challenge you guys to do some sort of ring variation as opposed to scaling to bar muscle-ups or pull-ups, or anything like that, okay? There's plenty of modifications that you can do for a ring muscle up, but the RX version is gonna look something like this. Ideally, you jump to the rings, but I'm short, so I'm using a bench. Don't judge me, all right? Yep, we wanna start from a hang. You're gonna get a nice swing, drive your chest and hips up towards the ceiling, and then you have to transition over the rings into your dip position, and then press out all the way at the top. If you're not quite ready for that, but you're secure in your dip position, you can put a box under the rings and practice jumping into the dip and then pressing out. And if that's not quite accessible yet, you can come back over to the low rings. We can either use a band, have a seat on the band, and either practice a strict muscle up where you just pull yourself up and over, or you can practice using that hip drive where you go toes, hips, and over the rings, and then press out at the top. I told you there's a bunch of options here. If you're still not ready for that one, we could even do a ring row muscle up. So feet start underneath the pull-up bar. You're gonna lay all the way back, pull to the center of your chest, down to the bottom of the dip, and then you can jump up to the top. So this movement is accessible to everybody. You just have to know which scaling option to use, and feel free to ask your coach which one's gonna be best for you, but I do challenge you to use the rings. Okay, 2 more movements and then we're moving on, I promise. We've got double unders. The rope passes under your feet twice with every jump. Do your best on these. Keep the elbows in, consistent pace, 1, 2, 1, 2 with the rope. Okay, you can double and do singles. You can use a heavy rope, do what works for you. But if you wanna get double unders, you have to practice double unders. Our last movement is gonna be that dumbbell snatch. Dumbbell starts between the feet, other hand is free, nice flat back. Think like you're zipping up your jacket. The dumbbell comes straight up over your head. You can either switch hands on the way down, kiss the ground with the weight and jump it up, or set the weight down, switch hands, and jump it up from there, okay? Lots of fun stuff today. Have fun.